Now again, today's topic, same whatever the session we have started in the previous session. Rivets is the topic. Now rivets are nothing but permanent joints. Why these are permanent joints, I have already explained you, because in few cases where in case of fabrication of boilers or rail bogies or any other important etc. We use riveted joints where unfastening can't be done at any point of time, and the system can't be destroyed. So that is the reason we'll go for riveted joints, which are permanent joints. Now coming to the temporary joints, we call nut and bolt arrangement as temporary joints. This we know. Other than that, if I want to join two sheets together, two elements together or two sheets together to work like a single component, then I can use welding option. Weld is one more option available. For example, if this is sheet number 1 and this is 2, if I would like to weld these two by an option called welding, now this welding will withstand up to some level. The strength of welding may not be so high when it compared to riveted joints. Now here, if I could remove the chip out of whatever the welding done, for example, I just try to show you the 3D representation so that you will understand better. These are the two sheets. Now here, this orange color one, let us consider this as the welding portion. Now these two sheets are joined together with the help of welding. Okay, now we can chip out this particular filler material. When you chip out the filler material, then the strength in between these two materials will come down. So in such scenario, if you chip out and you can disassemble or disjoint these two materials 1 and 2, so we can call this is also as a temporary joint only. So here our idea is to know about the riveted joint, which are permanent joints. Try to concentrate now. Now coming to rivets, you need to have a clear idea or picture about what exactly we are going to learn. We are going to learn about two important things. Number one, about joints. Number one is lap joint, number two butt joint. Okay, here if you are joining the session, lap joint and butt joint. What is lap joint means? I would like to join these two sheets, sheet number 1 and 2, the arrangement in this way. Okay, sheet number 1 is for mounted over sheet number 2, or 2 is falling below sheet number 1. This we call it as a lap joint, when one sheet falls over the other. Okay, one sheet is placed over the other, we call it as a lap joint. Similarly, if one sheet is placed side by the other, this we call it as a butt joint. This joint is called a butt joint, side by side. Okay, these are the two types of joints that we are going to learn and the related specifications. Alright, now whenever I call it as two sheets, try to imagine three-dimensionally, something like this, three-dimensionally. Okay, in this three-dimensional view, we are not bothered about length of the sheet. We are not at all bothered about length of the sheet. Okay, and also we are not bothered about the width of the sheet. Okay, our idea is to represent a simple sheet irrespective of its specifications, followed by the arrangement of rivet. Arrangement of rivet is very much important. Okay, so try to imagine three-dimensionally, something like this. This is sheet number 1 and maybe this is sheet number 2. Here ends the sheet number 1 and maybe sheet number 2 is beyond sheet number 1, the length is much higher, something like this. This is a visible portion. Try to understand. Okay, three-dimensionally, when you imagine things, then only you'll understand the complete arrangement of riveted joints. Something like this. All right, now let us concentrate on a lap joint. What exactly lap joint is all about, and how we need to deal with this particular lap joint. All right, let me clear this window. Now here our discussion is all about a lap joint arrangement. Now for this session, let us consider this as sheet number 1, this is sheet number 1, all right, and this is sheet number 1, and the next one sheet number 2. So I would like to join these two sheets for some application. Maybe the surface where you stand, the boarding surface of train or the bus. Now it is completely, the surface is completely made of riveted joints. Okay, the sheets are made of riveted joints, the aluminum sheets or whatever the sheets they use, those are made of riveted joints only. Okay, so now I would like to join these two with the help of a rivet and lap arrangement. For that, what I try to do, so I'll just increase the thickness. Now when I view this particular sheet from the front, how it is going to appear means, we just can't feel the length of the sheet, we can see only the rectangular cross section, this rectangular cross section of the sheet. Okay, so that rectangular cross section is visible, and when I place one over the other, those two are going to visible something like this. This is one over the other. Okay, now if I would like to place a rivet over here, at the from this axis, the distance to the sheet number 1 extreme end should be 1.5d. Similarly, from this extreme end to the center of the rivet, it should be 1.5d again. So if that is the case, what I try to do, I'll try to draw an axis line. I'll just try to draw. This is a simple axis line I'm drawing. Conventionally I'm representing, not using any scale. Now here, as we know, from the axis it should be at a distance of 1.5d. So if that is the case, what I try to do, simply from here I'll measure a distance of 1.5d. This distance should be 1.5d. all right, so if that is 1.5d, the sheet should end up there. Okay, this is sheet number 1, this is sheet number 1, and this is the other side. The other side length could be any distance, so I am making it zigzag. It could be of any distance, and from again from the vertical to the other side we need to measure 1.5d. This distance again 1.5d. So I'll just try to zoom the area. All right, if that is the case, again what I do, wherever this line drop, from there I'll try to measure a distance of. The other side could be any distance, any convenient distance. This side could be any convenient distance, and also this side is any convenient distance. I am placing one sheet over the other. These are the two sheets, placing one over the other. After that, With the help of a drill bit, I try to drill a hole from top to bottom. Let us imagine this as the drill bit. I'm drilling a hole. Now a hole is drilled from top to bottom. Now let us consider this as the snap headed rivet. This is how a snap headed rivet is going to be. Two lines are tapered. Now here the dimensions 1.6D is the diameter and 0.7D is the height of the snap head. Okay, height of the snap head is 0.7D and 1.6D is the diameter. So these two specifications has to be maintained to place the snap headed rivet over here. Okay, so if that is the case, feel that I am lifting this particular rivet, placing over from the top. Okay, if that is the case, what I try to do with respect to the axis line, I'll plan 1.6D by 0.7D to place centrally from here with respect to this point, which is falling exactly on the axis line. I'll try to place a semicircle. Okay, I just try to place a semicircle, then I'll measure 1.6D as the diameter, then I'll try to cross the curve. Okay, just have a look. I'm doing a construction now, because placing this snap head exactly centrally over here is a tough task. Okay, for that I'm just giving you, let me draw the axis line again, which will help me out for the reference. Okay, this imagine this as the axis line. Now what I try to do is I'll just measure 0.7D, 0.7 into whatever the D value given to you in the question. Okay, 0.7D. I'll measure that value from this intersection, from this top horizontal of the first sheet and the axis line. From this intersection, I'll measure a distance of 0.7D. Let me delete this dimension, which is a bit confusing. The things will become much clumsy there, so I have removed it. Try to remember that this is 1.5D. From this intersection, I'll make a mark of 0.7D. Now this height is 0.7D. Okay, now from this intersection, wherever I got 0.7D, from there I need to measure a distance of 1.6D divided by 2, because here I need to draw a semicircle. Okay, taking this as a center or some other point as a center, I need to draw a semicircle. To draw that semicircle, what we need to have? We need to have the diameter of the circle. Diameter of the circle is 1.6D. Now I need to draw with the help of a compass. So to measure with the help of compass, what I try to do, I'll try to consider the radius, which is 1.6D by 2. R is equal to 1.6D by 2. With the help of compass, I'll measure it. And from this point 0, wherever you got the intersection of 0.7D, from here, if you make a mark of 1.6D by 2, it will definitely going to cross the intersection. Try to understand this point now. This is very important. Never try to draw the semicircle with respect to this intersection. That becomes completely wrong, because you can't justify these two specifications. Okay, if you consider this point as the center of compass, then your semicircle will definitely cross 0.7D. Alright, because 1.6D by 2 will give you an intersection somewhere away, 2 or 3 mm away from the actual intersection point. Now consider this point as the center, 1.6D by 2 as the radius. Now from here to here, 1.6D by 2 we have considered. Similarly, in a reverse direction, taking this as the center of compass, and from here to this intersection as the radius, try to draw the semicircle, something like this, and a straight line. Okay, this is how it goes. I hope you understood this point, because if you after considering 0.7D as the height, yes, somebody want to speak. After considering 0.7D as the height, if you start drawing the curve of 1.6D by 2 from the intersection of top horizontal of sheet number 1 and the axis line, then your curve will definitely go beyond this intersection. Okay, so when you draw the curve should meet both the specifications. What are both the specifications? 0.7 followed by 1.6D. Both the specification means it should pass through this intersection point. That is very much important. Try to understand. If you have doubts, you can ask me so that I can explain you again. Okay, I'll remove this 1.5D also. Try to remember that this distance is 1.5D. Okay, then what we do other than this, now the shank portion will insert here. Shank portion will be inserted here, which is a taper section one, and only I just try to draw the shank portion also. Later on I'll just try to erase it. This is the shank portion which you could see. This is fine, but the thing is we need to have same kind of profile, same kind of cross section to the bottom side also. Okay, in case of hexagonal nut board, what we'll try to do, we'll try to fix a nut from the bottom, and with the help of wrench we'll tighten the nut. But here we don't have any nut arrangement, so for that case what we'll try to do, we'll try to create a cavity or a mold which is having dimensions same like the snap head, having the diameter as 1.6D and height, this height 0.7D. Okay, we'll try to create a mold, we create a cavity of these specifications, and with the help of hydraulic or pneumatic press we'll try to press this particular bottom. Okay, we'll try to hold above and below. The machine will hold above and below, and it will try to press and hold it for few minutes, and it will release it. Okay, so in such scenario what happens, this tapered material will definitely going to fill in this particular cylindrical hole, which is circular hole, which we have drilled already. So that material does not have any scope to come out, so it is going to accommodate in that particular circular diameter. So if that is the case, what happens here, if that is the case, then this won't be there. Again I'll try to show with the help of a hole arrangement. This is the hole arrangement which we have seen. Now this, when I press with the help of an arrangement, pneumatic or hydraulic, it will become something like this. This edge is visible, this is also. Then internally, now there is a sheet left over in front and behind also, so this becomes invisible. This becomes invisible. This is how a riveted joint of a lap is going to be, with all the specifications. Now other than this, here with respect to axis, center of the rivet till the extreme end of the sheet number 1, the angle maintained here should be 10 degrees. With respect to 10 degrees has to be maintained with respect to vertical. Okay, with respect to vertical line, 10 degrees has to be maintained. Similarly this one also, what we need to do, draw a line making an inclination of 10 degrees. Okay, that 10 degrees is with respect to vertical. This should be 10 degrees. Here also this should be 10 degrees. Okay, that is important. Now we are not bothered about the other side of the sheet, other side of sheet number 1, other side of sheet number 2. That could be of any distance. I hope you understood. Okay, similarly axis should be visible. This is about the front view representation of a lap riveted joint. This is how it is going to look like. Okay, and now let me take the projections to draw the top view. Let me make the scale, rotate it to 90 degrees. At every intersection or at every vertex points, I'll try to draw the extension projector lines. Now here I could see two projector lines. This is number 1. This is because here there is a taper section, so that is the reason both are visible. Now this is the 1.6D diameter projector line, starting, and this is the ending. Similarly, I'll try to draw D also, which is invisible lines. Here also I could see two parallel lines here also, because it is maintaining an angle of 10 degrees. So those two lines fall side by side. Okay, this is how I'll take the projectile lines. Let me zoom and show you. Okay, this is how the arrangement is going to be, and alright, this is how the arrangement is going to be. Now let us concentrate of sheet number 1. Again I'll take blue color. This sheet number 1. Sheet number 1 is ending, starting at this on this line. Okay, it is starting over here. So I'll try to place one zigzag line. Then I'll take one horizontal. It is ending up somewhere here. So here also this line is visible completely from top to bottom, and this line is also visible. Okay, now as these two lines are completely visible and there is a specified distance with respect to the center of the rivet, so no need to place any zigzag line over here. Okay, as we don't know other three side dimensions are not at all known to the draftsperson, so we'll try to make it zigzag, saying that it will convey the information or communicate the information to the other engineers, saying that there is some more sheet left over, but we are concentrating on the representation of a rivet. We are bothered about that particular representation. Okay, better what I try to do is I'll try to increase the sheet size so that it is very clear to you. Let me take it beyond. Now this distance is conventional according to your space availability, your wish, you can draw. Alright, this is how it is going to be. Now let me concentrate on sheet number 2. Now sheet number 2 is starting at this point, ending at this point, and I'll show you the logic how to draw zigzag lines also. This is how sheet number 1, sheet number 2 is going to be, and this is dark line, and here this portion of sheet number 2 is falling below sheet number 1, which is not visible. So let me make it invisible edge, something like this. Something like this. Alright, this is how it is going to be. Even this is also, this side is also invisible. Now I have drawn two sheets, but now how to draw this particular rivet in the top view. When I view from the top, what I could see, just let me draw a 3D representation and show you so that you'll understand better. Let me draw a 3D representation to show you how the arrangement is going to be. This is sheet number 1, this is sheet number 2, and let me draw a 3-dimensional view of it. This is how 3-dimensional it is going to be. This will go far. It is ending up here, so I'm making it zigzag. It is ending up here. Alright, now it is maintaining some thickness as we are maintaining here, which is T. Alright, this is how the arrangement is. Now what I did now, I have placed a rivet. Where exactly rivet is placed? Not on the edge. It is placed, it should be placed actually at a distance of at a distance of 3D, which 3D from one rivet to the other. So what I try to do for general representation, I have to take some offset distance. Here the first rivet should be fall, and at a distance of P one more, at a distance of P one more. So the rivets are placed in this way. I'll make it black in color. Now this is the first position of rivet, this is the second position of rivet, this is the third position of the rivet. Okay, and the in between distance of two rivets, this in between distance we call it as the pitch distance, which is represented with P, which is equal to 3d. Okay, it will maintain equidistance. It will maintain in the row you may have 1000 rivets, but we call it as a single riveted lap joint. Okay, in this row you may have 1000 rivets placed, but we call it as a single riveted. So you may have 1000 or 2000, but we consider a single row, whether it is a single row or a double row. If it is a single row, then we call it a single riveted lap joint. If it is a double row, we call it as a double riveted lap joint. Okay, and as all the rivets are falling one behind the other or one in front of the other, we call it as a chain system. It is not going in a zigzag way, so it is falling in a single straight line. We call it as a chain system. Okay, so here we are maintaining some gap. This gap is conventional. Okay, because we are not considering any rivet after this. We are not considering any rivet distance, means from here to here we are not maintaining any P distance, because we are ending up our sheet over here. Okay, if that is the case, if this is the arrangement, what I need to do now, I just need to draw. Now these two parallel lines represents the diameter, which is 1.6d. So I'll try to draw a circle. Which will pass tangentially with respect to both the parallel lines. Similarly, the other one, something like this. Okay, both should maintain same diameter, but as of now I am drawing conventionally, unable to. It's more or less. Yes, I got it. Okay, now this is the center. Okay, now here the distance need to be maintained between two rivets. Minimum of two rivets you have to place at any cost, because unless you place two, you can't represent this P. Okay, P is equal to 3d. This distance can't be specified unless you place two. If you place only one rivet, that is also fine, but this can't be represented. That has to be shown. That is important. Now other than this, when I view from the top, what else is visible? This whole diameter d, which is given to you in the question, is not visible. So that invisible thing, I'll try to place it with a dashed line, something like this. Okay, this is how the arrangement is. Now here the thickness is T. This thickness is also T. Okay, why it is T and what it is, what is the formula of T, that is important. Now coming to T, you have a formula called D is equal to 6 root T. Okay, now in the question he might give you the value of D or else value of T. So then if for example let us consider T is equal to 4 mm, 6 into root 4, that becomes 12. So here the diameter you are going to maintain should be 12 mm. If that is 12 multiplied by 0.7d will give you the height of snap head. 12 multiplied by 1.6 will give you the diameter of the snap head. This is how it is going to be. Okay, yes, hello, mute yourself, ma. Okay, this is how the arrangement of a lap joint is going to be. Okay, now in the examination they will directly ask you to draw the representation of a lap joint, chain lap joint, by considering T is equal to some 4 mm or 9 mm or 12 mm, whatever the number they give. Accordingly you need to calculate T value. Accordingly you need to maintain the angle at the end corners. Okay, these end corners, maintaining this angle is also important, and snap head height, diameter, followed by the thicknesses T, both should be T. Okay, whenever you deal with lap joint there won't be any straps. Okay, here one more thing need to be understood is what is the name, what name that we could suggest. Okay, they may ask you to draw single riveted lap joint, double riveted lap joint, or else I just try to name here single riveted lap joint, or double riveted lap joint, or single riveted chain lap joint, double riveted chain lap joint. Okay, this is the terminology that you need to understand. Single riveted lap joint, nothing but single row. Single row should be only one, there should be one row only. Single riveted lap joint. This can also be called as single riveted chain lap joint, because all are falling in a single line. Double riveted lap joint, nothing but you have two rows. Other than this rivet, you find one more row here. Okay, and that can also be called as double riveted chain lap joint. Now whatever the representation we made just now, what is the name, we'll try to justify with respect to this terminology. Now as of now we are dealing with a lap joint. Lap, we know, lap joint, that is fine, and there is only single row, that is also okay. All are falling one behind or one in front of the other. Chain. Okay, single riveted chain lap joint. Single riveted chain lap joint, we can call this as single riveted chain lap joint. Okay, now in your textbook you also find the hatching portion to these two sheets. What is that hatching portion means? Here hatching, let me give you an idea. Here after riveting both the sheets, I'll try to cut with the help of a cutting line or else a hacksaw. For your better understanding, with the help of a machine or hacksaw, what I try to do, I'll cut the model. I'll just cut this model, means this portion will be removed, only this is the portion which will remain. Now this we call it as front view position of the observer. Front view position of the observer. When I view from here, what I could see that the complete setup or complete sandwich got sectioned at the center, at the middle of the rivet. Then what happens? Only half of the rivet is remaining. If that is the case, I just want to represent that it got cutted, it got sectioned. So what we have learned from our basic conventional representation of materials, when it got sectioned, it has to be hatched, something like this. 45 degrees inclination with a gap of 2 mm. Okay, other sheet, this is also sectioned, so it is also cutted, but to communicate that both the sheets are different, those are not integral, this sheet is different, that sheet is different, I am trying to change the angle, and we are just trying to change the angle. This is how we need to do. And studs, nuts, bolts, shafts, if they are hollow sections, if they are sectioned also, they are not supposed to hatched. So that is the reason I have not hatched this portion. And one more important point to be noted here is, if it got sectioned, now these two edges are initially invisible because this rivet is falling behind the edge. This first rivet is falling behind the edge, so the shaft portion or diameter is completely invisible to us. Now as I have sectioned it completely, the diameter is visible, then this edge, after sectioning, this edge becomes continuous, means this is completely visible. Try to understand. This is how it is going to be, complete arrangement setup. Okay, so in your textbook or in your data, whatever the content I have sent you, in that you find single riveted chain lap joint, double riveted chain lap joint. Try to go through it once again and try to draw the sketch in A3 size sheet. That will help you out. If you have further queries, you can ask me at any point of time. Okay, we have 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes time left, 2.5 minutes time. So if you have any queries, I am here to answer them. You can straight away ask me.
Sir,
Yes.
are you supposed to draw a 3D figure, sir?
No need. This is only for your understanding purpose. No need to draw the 3D representation. Here the question is now whether the rivet is starting at this point or at some offset distance. That is the question. So unless you maintain some offset distance, you can't show this sectioning properly. And if you start drawing the rivet at this edge, then these two lines again becomes again you need to represent it as dark, but that is a wasteful job. We are supposed to join these two sheets, so the joining is represented something like this. Just to make you understand, I have drawn this 3D representation. No need to draw the 3D representation, that is only for your understanding purpose. That okay, got it? Any other? One more point, this side of the sheet is conventional, you can go up to any length. Also this side of the sheet is also conventional, you can go up to any distance. Okay, we are only bothered about this portion of the setup. We are bothered about this portion of the setup. What is that? This is the portion where you get all the required specifications, where I got the height of snap head, diameter of snap head, diameter of the shank portion, and also angle 10 degrees, and also 1.5 distance from the center of rivet till the end of the rivet. So only idea is to show all the specifications related to riveted joint. Okay, and also here you could see P is equal to 3D is the pitch distance, that also I can easily represent. P is equal to 3D can be represented by showing two rivets. If you show only one rivet, there won't be any scope or possibility to show this specification. Try to understand. Okay, that is all. Only 1 minute left, Ma. If you have any queries, you can ask me, so that or else I just close the session. Please try to start drawing the sketches, finish it off, convert to PDF, save with your roll number, and send it to the group.